In 2014, the Wii U wasn't doing very well. The system failed to find ground due to in large part to confusion about the hardware as well as a real lack of major system sellers from Nintendo. You see, the system, unlike the Wii, didn't launch with a Zelda game or even a mass appealing casual title. It launched with a 2D Mario in the same time frame as 3 other 2D Mario games. The Wii U would eventually receive its own Zelda game, though it wasn't an exclusive anymore. Early in the console's life, there were 2 studios who went out of their way to support it. Firstly being Ubisoft, who would later get their hands on the Mario IP for a collab series, and the other being Koei Tecmo, who at the launch of the console were there with the Warriors Orochi game alongside an exclusive version of Ninja Gaiden 3. In Japan, they also released a version of Romance of the Three Kingdoms, one of the studio's flagship IPs. A year later, Koei Tecmo would release a Fist of the North Star Musou game for the console, and then the next year they released Fatal Frame 5 as an exclusive, a game co-funded and developed alongside Nintendo. In between those years, in 2014, Koei Tecmo would have the opportunity to develop and release what would go on to become arguably their most praised release of the 2010s, at least their most praised Musou of the 2010s. Based around Nintendo's Legend of Zelda series, Hyrule Warriors would go on to sell millions of copies across the original Wii U release, the 3DS port, and even more with the Definitive Edition released in 2018 for the Nintendo Switch. The Definitive Edition combined all of the base game content from the Wii U release, its individual DLC, and then all of the content from the 3DS version. It also included some costumes based on the most recent Zelda at the time, which was Breath of the Wild. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition capped the frame rate to a smooth 60 frames per second, at 1080p docked and 720p while in handheld mode. Overall, the port was a great improvement on the original release, which was 4 years old at the time of release. Gameplay-wise, you can expect traditional warriors wrapped in a Zelda bow. Everything is here, from long combos, which could have been longer, special attacks, or hundreds or even thousands of enemies. What made Hyrule Warriors special was how well the traditional Zelda archetypes transitioned to this gameplay style. The best part about Warriors games are the large character rosters, and in Hyrule Warriors, the Zelda characters were all portrayed uniquely and differently. From what I played, the characters don't repeat movesets or anything. Depending on the weapon, they even have different attack strings and specials. Light and strong attacks, specials, and magic attacks all change depending on which weapon the character uses. The original Hyrule Warriors is a little unrefined compared to Age of Calamity, but what was offered in this release is more than commendable. This game was basically the Wii U's original Zelda story. The story here was original, bringing in all of the best characters from Zelda's history in 3D, with references to so many others. The game is Legend of Zelda fanfic, especially with Linkle, but it's a really good fanfiction, which you can tell because of the way the team who made it were clearly giant fans of the series. Nobody was out of place. Fi, for example, was a really decent representation of her character from Skyward Sword. All the other characters are that way too, including the ones that are unlockable from post-game content. The best part I thought were the original characters, mainly this game's version of Link and Zelda, who have some of the best designs of these two in the entire series, both of which take huge amounts of inspiration from Twilight Princess and tweak them just enough to have each look amazing. As a big fan of those designs, these are practically speaking the ultimate versions of the characters. There's also cutscenes animated in the beautiful style of Wind Waker's 2D art, and so much more. I really liked Lana, she was one of my favorite characters to play as, along with Linkle, who was also fairly fun to play too. Linkle could have used more development though. Only 5 levels interspersed between the main plotline was fun in the side, but not as many as one would have hoped for considering the general praise of her character. Do you have a favorite Zelda character? Well, there's a good chance there's some representation for them in the game. Whether they're a warrior or referenced through gameplay or secrets, this is the ultimate Legend of Zelda game, masterfully combining the various titles and creating something unique. Do you like Tingle? Well, you could play as him. How about Young or Toon Link? You can also play as them. Okay, well what about Zant? Or even Ganondorf? Girahim or Darunia? You can use all of them and so many more, from small side characters to major antagonists and protagonists. Hyrule Warriors has them all, and more. Hyrule Warriors was the first time Koei Tecmo developed an actual Nintendo game, excluding Pokemon Conquest, which is a Koei Tecmo game with a Pokemon skin, or the mysterious Morasame Castle minigame in one of the Warriors games on the Wii, and the Fatal Frame games when Nintendo had co-ownership of the IP. Oh, and also Metroid Other M, which I had originally forgotten about when first writing this. Hyrule Warriors, though, was Nintendo giving them the key to a tentpole IP, and making a blend of a Nintendo and Koei Tecmo game with it. Hyrule Warriors is a Nintendo Musou, not a Nintendo game developed by a third-party studio or a Metroid game developed by Koei Tecmo without any major input from the company. Hyrule Warriors is a unique collaboration, innovating both series at once, and making something fun to play at the same time. It's because of the success of the game that would lead to this happening at least 3 more times if you only count Warriors games. And if you count others, it would happen again with Fire Emblem Three Houses, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 4, and the Japanese exclusive Buddy Mission Bond. There's a lot of content in Hyrule Warriors, from a lengthy campaign expanding further from DLC, to hundreds of extra battles that you need to play through to unlock extra characters, costumes, and more. There are hundreds upon hundreds of extra levels to play through. Each are small challenges, from defeating a certain number of enemies to defeating a specific boss. This game is long, and if you want a Muso with an unending amount of content, this is the game you want to play. There's reasons to replay the main storyline more than once too. There's countless weapons to find, costumes, and skulltulas. There's a reason the game takes over 300 hours to complete. Well over double what I put into Age of Calamity, a game I only got 99.9% completion in because I couldn't finish getting those Koroks, but that's far from the point. What is here is a lot of content, all pretty high quality. This was some of the best Muso content from Koei Tecmo in ages, and when Muso games were controversial, Hyrule Warriors was a light in the dark. And as Muso games hopefully get better, the title has cemented its legacy. This series, Nintendo Collab Warriors, are some of the best-selling games Koei Tecmo has made. Age of Calamity was one of their best-selling games of all time. It might still be. The Fire Emblem Warriors games did quite well for themselves too. So, is it worth playing Hyrule Warriors today? Well, I waited over 7 years to buy the Switch version at the same price I could have bought it in 2018, which is kind of a regret of mine. I would have loved this game during those years, and I still love it during this one. But should you play it? Yes, I think you should. If you're a fan of good Muso games, you probably already have. And if you're a fan of Legend of Zelda, I think this game is a necessity. I highly recommend you play through the story at least. While it's not perfect, it has some rough edges that future titles did sand off. Hyrule Warriors is still good, and well worth going back to or experiencing for the first time. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've got one big project in the works, so if you want to see that, or simply want to make my day, you could subscribe. Like the video to show your support, and leave a comment saying anything. It all helps the video, and I've been trying to make more of these. Check out the videos on screen now, and thank you again. I hope you have a good day.